I'm Deanne from Newfoundland, Canada. Welcome to my FlossTube channel, Stitching on the Rock. Welcome to all my new subscribers. Thank you so much. I've had a few in the last week or so. For anyone who's been here from the beginning, thanks so much for sticking around. Thanks for those that comment and like my videos. I really appreciate it. You'll notice when you watch this video, I have a new opening picture. I want to thank Juanita Harrell for making that for me. That's my son's aunt on his dad's side. She was home for a visit a few weeks ago, and my Soria attempts before have not been very good, and she sat down in 5 minutes. She had 2 done for me. So I have this one that's like a summer one, and then I have another one that I'll use later on. I feel like I haven't been here for a month, but it's only been a couple of weeks, my normal amount of time, but what a couple of weeks we've had. 2 weeks from this past weekend, my son visited his dad, and his dad was feeling sick on Saturday and got sicker on Sunday, and Aaron came home and went to school, and my sister came and tutored him, and you know, normal. And then on Tuesday, his dad tested positive for COVID. He must have picked it up at work. He doesn't go anywhere else, he says, and wherever he goes he wears a mask, so someone came to work with it and didn't know it. But you know, he was sick for several days before he tested positive. Aaron didn't show any signs of being sick. You know, I was being mom. My sister was coming and helping him with his math homework and all that, and he went to school on Thursday. He sniffed a little bit Thursday morning, but he didn't seem sick, and they called not even an hour after he got to school. And these days you can't stay in school if you show any signs of being sick, and he came home, tested positive right away. They said he was congested, but to me he didn't sound like, if Aaron is sick, he's lying around, he doesn't want to do anything. He was fine. And then Friday I kind of felt a little off, and Saturday I tested positive. And my sister tested positive as well. I don't know if it was Wednesday or Thursday. And then her husband tested positive. So we went through, all of us. Aaron barely had a sniffle the whole time he was home, isolating for 7 days. As you can tell, I'm still sinusy and that, but I've been out of quarantine since Sunday. And my sister and I both, when we get sick, we had asthma as kids, so we get the bronchial. It feels like there's a weight on your chest, and getting up and down the stairs is impossible. But that only lasted like maybe 3 days, and since then it's just sinus stuff, which you don't want to hear about. Albert got mad sick, like, oh, I'm so sick. But I don't think he was any worse than I was. And my brother-in-law is the only one still in isolation because he was the last one to test positive. I think he's probably done today. And, he worked through it, most of it. A couple of days he said he just couldn't do it. But, yeah. And in the middle of all of that, my mom had surgery on her foot. So she stayed away from us as soon as Aaron tested positive, because she had to have the COVID test and test negative before they do the surgery. But she was off her feet for several days, and of course we were in isolation. And so she came yesterday with my sister. It's the first time I've seen her in 2 weeks, which is so strange because she's usually here 2 or 3 times a week. So yeah, that was our 2 weeks. That felt like a month and a half. There's nothing worse than being told you can't leave home. I'm a homebody. I can stay home all the time, except when someone says you can't leave. And then I go a little stir crazy. Oh, excuse me. Anyway, I said on my last video that I was going to do a recap of my May is All About Me projects. And I actually have been stitching on a few projects. I've been, brain's not been focusing well, so I've been doing a bit here and a bit there. So I have about 4 or 5 other projects that I've worked on since May, but not a lot of progress on any of it. So Here we go. Week 1 of my May Was All About Me was my Newfoundland and Labrador by Vlada X Stitch on Etsy. I love this project and I can't wait to get back to it sometime. So I got most of Labrador done, as you can see. It's not a whole lot left to Labrador. And then I have all of Newfoundland. And it's beautiful colors and love the design. And I will get back to it because I really want to finish it. And I have ideas in my head of how I want to finish it. I just got to find the time to stitch on it. Then week 2 was Fairy Roses by Marabini. Oh, excuse me, dropped the picture. Which was, and if you saw my videos, you remember that I am changing these colors because in real life they look a whole lot greener than the picture shows. And it is done 2/2 on 32 count Irish linen. Get her straightened out here. And that's what I got done. She's got a head and arms and a torso. She looks a little odd. And in the middle of that week, the 11th of May was my birthday, so I spent a whole day not stitching on her. I stitched on Queen of Hearts by Rachel Anderson for Heaven and Earth Designs. And she is stitched 1/1 on 28 count Dahlia, however you want to pronounce the fabric, which is a really pretty pink model, and that's what I got done. Oh, nope, sorry, it goes this way. Yeah. It's hard to tell with that little tiny bit, but yeah, it's this way. Remember in the video I mentioned how many stitches there were of black, like over 36,000, and I think there's close to 38 or 39,000 of 814, so that's gonna be fun. But she's part of my June. I put all of my fully covered plus Aaron's birthday gift in the Tiny Decisions, and so she is in there. She hasn't come up yet. So week 3, I started with Bent Creek's Snowman, and now I stitched it 2/2 on 28 count navy blue Lugana, or I assume it's a Lugana because most of mine are. I stuck with the original oatmeal called for color, but I changed the blue jay to blue bonnet, and I changed these words to the blue instead of the white because I thought they got lost in with the snowflakes. And this was a finish. I haven't fully finished it. I'm gonna wait till later in the year until there's some winter things in the store, which the way they put stuff out could be next week. And then I got ink from my printer. The second project I did that week was Honeybee by Stitching with the Housewives, and I changed the words to Be Happy instead of Honeybee because it's a gift I'm going to give away this week, so I wanted to share. That's one of the reasons why I did the video today, is I wanted to share it with you. So it was done 2/2 on 28 count black even weave, and ta-da! It's done on a easel chalkboard from Michaels, and this is my fully finished, because I did do the Waiting for Santa and the little shamrock, but I don't have any embellishments on them because it was the wrong time of the year to get that stuff. So when that comes out, I'll re-show them when they're fully finished. So the fabric, the black and white kind of cross hatch, and the yellow bee fabric, they both came from Walmart, like a little fat quarter from Walmart. And the ribbon, it's a burlap-y kind of ribbon, and that also came from Walmart. And the bee, the metal bee, came from Michaels. It was on, I had it here, but I don't see, oh, here it is, down below me, excuse me. purchased this for myself in the spring because Priscilla and Chelsea had it. One of their finishes done on it, but there was the words and the B are on both sides, so I took the B off the back. I said nobody's going to see the B from the back when I have it on display, obviously, with possibly this project, but possibly another B project when I get around to it. So I'll pried the B off and I glued it into the middle of my bow, and I just love it. I think it's perfect, and I hope that Erin's student assistant will love it as well. So that was week 4, or 3, sorry. That was week 3. Week 4, I did Sunflowers in Summer by Country Cottage Needleworks. And this is done 2/2 on 28 count Autumn Fields. I think it's 28 count, let me double check. Yep, 28 count. And I have left off the words here and here, and the little white swirl, which is just above the sunflowers. Hopefully you can see it, kind of, sort of. Anyway, and I cut the, well, I didn't cut the fabric. It was as much fabric as I had, and in this color that worked perfectly. And I'm not 100% sure, but when I get down here, if I think I have enough fabric, I will probably write the upper words on the bottom, and possibly do the swirls if they work out. We'll see. And here we are. That's how much I got completed. I got the top border done and the roof of the house, and then started on the actual house and started on the little sunflowers. I love the little tiny bees that are amongst. I did substitute 2 colors. I substituted the yellow, which was, let me just grab it, make sure I get them right. It was originally Crescent Colors Sunflower, and I substituted Gentle Arts Butternut because that's what I had. And the light green, which is here starting in the house, was supposed to be, I worked Dried Sage, and I substituted it with Gentle Arts Green Apple because that's what I had. And that is really cute too. And eventually I'll get back to finishing that. So that was week 4. Now, turns out that May went into week 5, which I didn't originally realize and had not planned on a piece, but you know, one of my subscribers mentioned in a comment that they were interested to see what I was starting for week 5, and I'm like, well, I got 5 stitching with the housewife patterns for Mother's Day, and so I had fabric, and I said, well, all right. I decided I was going to start the mom pattern for my mother for her birthday, which is tomorrow. And I ran out of 3865, the cup color. The weekend that Aaron was at his dad's, that ended up to be the weekend we all got sick from. So I ran over to Michael's by my house, and they didn't have any. I'm like, oh shoot. And then Aaron got sick, and I said to my sister, I said, can you check the Michael's down by your house? Because we have 2 in town. And she said, yeah. They didn't have any. And then I got sick. And we only have one other store in town that carries DMC. And I went there yesterday, and they don't have any. So, my mother's not getting it for her birthday tomorrow. I could have done the rest of the colors, I know, but I got sick and didn't feel up to doing it. So, Mom, and I'm doing it on charcoal gray, just to change from the black. And I want to make sure I put it right. This is what I got done. I really could have finished it if I had had that color. So it looks like I'm either going to have to, well, I will continue to check the stores here in town. And then the next time I decide to put in an order, I will order it if I haven't gotten it yet. And she'll get it for Mother's Day next year. or I'll keep it for myself. So that was week 5, which was disappointing because I easily could have finished that. Well, not in the 3 days, but I could have kept going with it and finished it. And that is, May is all about me. Excuse me. I discovered that it was fun and I'll do it again next year, but I'm really not a one-at-a-time stitcher for a whole week. Which sounds crazy, I know, to a lot of people. What's a week? But I have been known to spend an hour on a project and then move on to a different one. It just depends on how I'm feeling. I could also spend 2 weeks on a project if I'm enjoying it and it's keeping me interested in that. It goes along with them not being allowed out of the house. If I know I have to stitch on one piece, but day 2, I'm like, I want to move on to something else. If it's up to me, I can spend who knows how long stitching on one piece. It's that forced, you can only do this one project that I don't like. But for 1 month a year, I think I can train myself to do it. So since my brain has come out of the fog 3 or 4 days ago, I've stitched on 5 pieces. So my brain has come out of the fog. My attention span is about this big. So I'll share the very little progress I made on these 5 pieces. If I just get my book that I'll show them. Well, I did actually stitch a lot. It didn't take a lot of time, but it was a lot of stitches because it's Erin's birthday gift, and it's like very little bits of color. But I digress. Here we go. So, first up was Heaven and Earth Design Quick Stitch Pride and Prejudice by Amy Stewart. Which is this one. And I actually put in 330 stitches in this. But once again, like, it's very little big progress shown because it's 1/1. And so, there it is. I get it the right way. So I'm actually, like, widening out my diagonal. I was doing 10 stitches first, and I decided to go to 20. So I mostly did like the ivory and the pink and the yellow here, which is right up, like right up here where this little bit of sky and lighter colors are, and then the brown is coming down right here. So once I move it a little bit further, I should get into that blue book. You can actually just see I've got like 3 blue stitches. I don't even know if you can see them right there. So that's the start of that book. And then I'm doing the same thing with Donna Gelsinger's mini Hometown Hero baseball. I'm widening out my diagonal. So you can see the blue. I've started to widen out the blue. I said 20. It might be 30. I might have widened it out on both sides a bit. So nothing really exciting, but I'm getting there. So that one I put in like 175 stitches, so it's not a whole lot. Then Erin's birthday gift, which is the London Underground. And this one has to be done by the end of July. And it's on Etsy by Jane Noel Needleworks. And oh, I didn't tell you, I don't think that did I tell you that the Pride and Prejudice is done 1/1 on 28 count ice blue. ice blue. And that the Mini Hometown Hero is done 1/1 on 28 count sapphire blue. This one, I'm doing 1/1 on a 28 count white even wave. It's just something I had in my stash that worked. It looks crazy, but it's coming along. But this white picks up all the fuzzies and all the lint, and so I've reached the other side of the pattern. So that's how wide it is. I'm doing page 3 and 4 because there's very little on 4. There's only just, if you look at the pattern, there's only just this line here is the only other thing on page 4, other than I have to bring the border down, obviously, to the middle, to meet the other one. Page 3 is the one with a bit more work to it. But I have it have a month and a half to finish it, and I've worked on it a couple of times over the last few days, and I've actually put in 742 stitches into it, so it's getting there, and I'm sure I'll have it all finished before his birthday. Next up, I worked on, not that piece, I worked on Mini Sunflower by Marianne Broom. I put in 117 stitches in this. Said I was all over the place. And most of that I put in is the darker color in the center of that flower. And finally, I'm just whipping through this, aren't I? Oh, that is stitch 1/1 on 25 count daffodil. And last but not least is Quick Stitch Iris by Josephine Wall. And this is stitch 2/2, 28 count evenly, and it is a hand dyed because I can see colors through it. You can probably see there, but I don't know the name of it. And so I wasn't, brain wasn't functioning well enough to figure out where I was on page 3, so I actually went over and started on page 4, and it's all done. 109 stitches done, all in the same color. But so that's where I am with that. And that's what I've worked on since I saw you last. Which is, like I said, all over the place, but the ones I've been working on in June are all full coverage, and I'm going to continue for June working on full coverage. And that's as far as my brain has gotten. I was planning in July, which won't be long coming, to do at least one piece to say I've done a Jolly July piece. I went through and I picked out 3 or 4 pieces, but I don't think I want to start 3 or 4 more pieces. I've got close to 20 works in progress now. I might start one, maybe on the 24th or 25th of July I'll start one. It also depends on where we are in July with weather and plans. We have no real plans for vacation this year. We did a fairly big vacation last year. My sister and brother-in-law, because there's only the 2 of them left, because one of their sons was here in May, the other one's coming in July, so we're going to spend some time seeing them. They also have bought a new 5th-wheeler. They bought a 5th-wheeler when their sons were young, 3 or 4, because they lived until their son started grade 4 in Labrador City, which is on the other part of the province, the part that I've stitched. I can actually show you. Oops. Please excuse me, sorry. So we live here. We live here, right there. That's where St. John's is. And they lived here. My geography is not the best, but I think that's about where Labrador City was. So in order to get, and my sister and her husband were both teachers. So in order to get from here to here, they either had to fly, which is quite expensive, believe it or not, even though we're in the same province. And when there was 2 of them, it wasn't terrible. Once the boys got to the age that they needed to buy their own seats, buying airplane tickets for 4 people was a lot of money. So once the boys got to the age where that was going to have to happen, you had to drive. And right now, you can, in the last few years, you could get a ferry across to here, and then used to be get a train, but now they've got a road through that you can drive. But even but they used to have to live there, go into Quebec, go down through New Brunswick, down through Nova Scotia, and take a ferry across to here, and then drive across, and buying food and paying for places to stay and all that. So they bought a 5th-wheeler when the boys were, I don't know how old they were, but they've had it for, I believe she said, 20-something years. But they discovered that the bottom has gone, so they've now bought a new trailer, and they have a spot that they put it in a park. So we may go there for a night or so and spend it with them. It's in the community that my brother-in-law is from and that my dad was from, so I haven't been out there to spend any amount of time since my grandparents passed away. So that's a possibility for the summer too. So all of those things will depend on what I'm stitching over the next couple of months. And Aaron is out of school and he's in baseball, so that's Saturdays for an hour or so. And we want to do some day trips and things like that. So I don't want to take on too many new things over the summer, but one thing may not be that bad. Anyway, that long-winded story. That's my Newfoundland story for today. Got to the point that that's all the stitching I have to show you. No real stash. Got a couple of, when I got my last little purchase from Embroidery Marketplace, I told you that we were waiting on a couple of pieces of fabric to come in, so I got coffee and ivory. Not exciting fabric, but some more neutral pieces that I didn't have a whole lot of. And yeah, I have a couple of patterns that I'm purchasing next week, but I will share those with you in my next video. They're off Etsy, and they're I don't have many Canadian patterns, and one of my designers that I follow has put up a couple of Canadian patterns, but I'm not going to tell you until I have them in front of me to show you. Yeah, I have one more thing to show you. It's not stitching related, but it is something I created through my scrapbooking supplies. And I tried to videotape this earlier. This is my second try, and I just got way too emotional. So I'm not going to tell you the story that I told you in the first version because I don't want to bawl again. But Aaron has a very special teacher who's helped him a lot over the last couple of years when he struggled a bit in junior high. And I wanted to do something special. And purchasing gifts from male teachers is not easy. I wish somebody could tell me what to buy besides gym cards. And that's not what you want to give someone as a special gift. It's okay for Christmas. But I was perusing, trying to find something on Etsy, and I found something that I really, really loved. It was done with a Cricut machine or a silhouette machine and vinyl, and I said, I can do that. I needed help. Aaron's aunt, who did my opening picture, created an SVG file for me, which I never would have had known to do because I would have sat down and typed out all the words and changed fonts and tried to make it fit. But she created the whole file for me. So thank you, Juanita. I really appreciate it, and everybody really loves this. Yeah, it took me 3 attempts to do it. 3rd time's a charm. I tried to resize it. That didn't work. It got really, really tiny. I discovered trying to do a piece that's like an 8x10 piece and transferring it to the cardstock in one shot. Doesn't work. It just sticks. And you can't move it. So I got it into 5 pieces, but I got it to work. And we have a really, really dull day, and the lighting has probably been crappy through the whole video. But I'm hoping that you can see this and without too much of a glare. So it's, like I said, vinyl, and it's shaped like a puzzle piece, if you can't tell. And the closer I get, the worse the glare gets. So I'm kind of gonna, so it says, Mr. Snellgrove, Beaconsfield Junior High, and then there's all kinds of words. It says, mentor, wise, mindful, engaging, compassionate, influential, teacher, approachable, caring, organized, sincere, creative, kind, nurturing, challenging, I think that's challenging, it's hard to read sideways, inspiring, supportive, amazing, problem-solving, patient, helpful, reliable, knowledgeable, respectful, motivating, fair, dedicated, fun, thoughtful, safe, positive, honest, cheerful. It says, thank you for being an important piece of my education. Love, Aaron Jacobs. So, I don't know. Hopefully you can see, I know you can see it if I tilt it like that, but it's terrible to be able to read it like that. So let me try. No. Maybe. Anyway. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be, but I'm glad I did it myself. It means more to me that I did it. And, well, Juanita helped, and Albert helped as well, because he was very encouraging that I knew that I knew what I was doing and could do it. Yeah, so we're going to pass that and the cross stitch off. Hopefully tomorrow, because we're going to visit the high school tomorrow. Mr. Snellgrove and Albert and Aaron and I on our own. School was supposed to go last week when Aaron was sick, but it ended up being cancelled anyway, so he didn't miss it. Yeah, I think that's it. I hope I wasn't too terrible with sniffing and coughing, and anyway, I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks hopefully, and hopefully my brain will be more settled by then. Bye.